Hello, book lovers, and welcome to or welcome back to Nat Cat's Bookish Cafe. Today is Monday, September 12th, and I am starting my week 3 vlog of Becca's Bookopoly. So it is a little bit after 7:30 in the morning. I'm just getting ready for work, but figured I'd go ahead and let you know what I would be reading in this vlog. I have not been doing too well with reading books from either my TBR or Becca's Bookopoly. I've only read 2 books that apply to the 2 of them, and this week I'm hoping to get a couple more books read. The first one does apply to both Becca's Bookopoly and my TBR, and that's Heaven's Official Blessing is written by Mo Shang Tong Shu, and this is going to apply to my TBR for historical with queer representation, and Becca's Bookopoly for highest rated book. So this was the highest rated book on my Goodreads TBR. So I'm not too comfortable with giving the synopsis on this, so I'm just going to go ahead and read the back to give you an idea about what this book is about. A god fallen, a ghost arisen. Born the crown prince of a prosperous kingdom, Shilan was renowned for his beauty, strength, and purity. His years of dedicated study and noble deeds allowed him to ascend to godhood. But those who rise may also fall, and fall he does, cast from the heavens and banished to the world below. 800 years after his mortal life, Shilan has ascended to godhood for the 3rd time, angering most of the gods in the process. To repay his debts, he is sent to the mortal realm to hunt down violent ghosts and troublemaking spirits who prey on the living. Along his travels, he meets a fascinating and brilliant Sung Lang, a young man with whom he feels an instant connection. Yet Sung Lang is clearly more than he appears. What mysteries lie behind his carefree smile? So I did watch the first season of this anime a while ago, so I do have a general idea kind of what's going on. I picked this up because I just finished The Dumb House, which was very depressing and disturbing book, and this is kind of the most lighthearted book I seem to have on my TBR. So I'm hoping that'll be really cute and maybe even have some good humor in it. So I will go ahead and start this one first, and of course update you on my thoughts. The next book I'm hoping to finish, or at least get a decent way through this week, is not on Becca's Bookopoly, but it is the punishment prompt for my personal TBR, which was to read a classic, and I chose George Orwell's 1984, which is a book that I have been wanting to reread for a little while. This is one of the 6 books that I want to reread this year. So the way that I'm doing it, the reason I'm prioritizing this is that if I don't finish one of my TBR books, I can either choose to push it into the next month. I can't use it for another prompt in that new month, but I can, just go on and read it as an additional book, but I don't have to. With punishments books, I do need to go ahead and push it into the next month, and I know for a fact that I already have one punishment prompt that I need to go ahead and take in October, so I want to make sure that I go ahead and finish this up so I don't need to move it over. So this book is a dystopian novel. We're following a man who lives in this society where people are always being watched, and there's very strict rules, and I believe from what I remember he just does small acts of rebellion with a woman within this society. Other than that, I can't remember too much about it, but I am really looking forward to rereading it because I did really enjoy it when I read it back in high school. It was either my freshman or sophomore year that I read this. Other than that, I am working on an audiobook called Healing of the Water Monster, I believe is what it was called. I listened to the first chapter yesterday, and I will continue on with that throughout the week. It's only 9 hours, so I am hoping to definitely finish it this week. This doesn't fulfill any prompts for either of my TBRs or Aurelium. It is just to fulfill a prompt for Amy from A Star Reads viewer prompt for her TBR game. So I will, of course, link her channel down below because her TBR game is a lot of fun. But that's all I have to say for now. So I will check in with you guys once I've made some progress in my reading. All right, so I'm here with my first update on Heaven's Official Blessing. I'm only 38 pages in, but so far we are following, I believe his name is pronounced Shi Lian, and he was the crown prince of a really prosperous nation. He was really well beloved, so at the age of like 17, he ascended to godhood, and he was well worshipped, but one day his kingdom fell into chaos, and the gods do not interfere in human issues, I guess you could say. They only deal with like ghosts and other paranormal, issues that may arise in the mortal realm. But he wanted to go save his people and ended up making the war like worse instead of better. So all his shrines were burned, and he was thrown from the heavens. He ended up ascending again, but only for a short period because he was really angry. He ended up causing a bunch of damage in the heavens and was banished again, and he has now ascended for a third time, and everyone's really annoyed with that because they're like, oh my god, not this guy again. So this book is kind of interesting in its language because it is taking place in like ancient East Asian culture, I believe Chinese culture. There are like the respectful titles that they use, but at the same time the way that they speak is somewhat modern. So it's an interesting reading experience because you kind of feel like you're reading fan fiction that takes place in like ancient times. It's got a lot of humor in it so far. It's actually made me laugh out loud quite a few times, which is something I was kind of expecting from this book, and one of the reasons that I picked it up. But our main character has just been given a task by the Emperor to go down to the mortal realm because there is a certain area where they have been receiving a lot of prayers, which means that something is going wrong. So he is about to head down there, and we'll go ahead and see what challenges he faces, and I will go ahead and update you when I've read a bit more. So Sunday night, I'm about to head to bed. Just doing a final update for the day. I made it to chapter 3 of Heaven's Official Blessing, page 65. We have our prince Shi Lian, who is in the mortal realm right now on a assignment from the Emperor. He has been joined by 2 soldiers or generals who work for 2 of the other gods. These 2 other gods, I can't remember their names right now, but do have a connection to the prince from his original mortal life. but over the years have drawn away from him and do not get along with him or get along with each other. So the two men whose names are Fu Yao and Nan Feng don't get along either. So that leads to a lot of, humorous interactions between the two. Their assignment is to find out why over the years so many brides have been disappearing on their seem to have kind of like a bridal parade that they go on, and every once in a while some of the brides never make it to the final destination. So a richer man, one of his daughters disappeared, and he made a lot of prayers and donations to the poor in hopes of getting heaven's attention for this issue. So they are going to go ahead now and investigate that. So I didn't quite make too much progress today with that, and I also didn't make much progress in my audiobook. I just listened to it a little bit while doing some laundry and dishes. Earlier today, I didn't listen while I was at the gym. I was in one of my music moods, so I have nothing new to say on that. But I will go ahead and give you some updates once I have something more to say on this or on my audiobook. Shilan is having to be like a sassy older brother to Fu Yao and Nanfen because they're always bantering and just acting like snobby little kids. And Fu Yao has a eye rolling habit where he rolls his eyes very often. And Shilan says, "And can you fix that eye rolling habit of yours? Why don't you set a small target for yourself first and roll only 5 times a day?" The sass is strong in this one. All right, guys, I'm about to do a little bit of fall clothes shopping, hopefully. So I'm going to head over to the mall area, but I just wanted to do a tiny update on my reading. And also I just got a package, which I'm thinking is a book. So I'm going to go ahead and open that real quick, and then I'll give you an update on the book. So this is the package. Let me see where I can cut without damaging anything. Or can I open this? I've never really gotten a package like this before, so I don't really know how to open it. Okay. Let me not show you guys my address. Let's see. Oh, that's a lot of glue. Oh. I'm trying to think if I put in a pre-order for anything. I don't remember these things. Oh, okay. So this is King of Immortal Tithe by Ben Anderson. He is the author of Lord of Eternal Night. So this is the second book in the series. These are standalones, but they're companion novels. I believe they are set in the same world. This, I believe, is a Hades and Persephone or retelling. I haven't read too many of these other than A Deal with an Elf King, and I didn't really like that. But just because I didn't like one doesn't mean I'm gonna give up on that trope. So this seems to be about a king who I believe is some sort of elf. And I believe everyone he touches ends up dying. He has, a touch of death, except for this guy right here. So obviously it's a romance between them. I feel like there's some sort of vampiric plague going on as well that they need to deal with. But other than that, I don't know too much about it. I just picked it up because I really enjoyed the first book, and I want to get to some more of this author's works. This is definitely a fall vibe book, so hopefully I can get to it maybe in November. All right, and then for Heaven's Official Blessing, I am on page 120. I believe last time I told you kind of why they were sent to the mortal realm, to hunt down a spirit that was killing women. They call the spirit a groom ghost. I think it was something like that. So pretty much Sean Leon has an idea that he needs to dress up as a bride to kind of trick the ghost into coming out. So they're traveling through the forest with him pretending to be a bride, and this is where he first comes in touch with Sanlong, but he does not know that that's who it is. He just knows that he's being guided by someone through the forest, through any sort of dangerous situations. And then Sanlong kind of leaves him at this temple where the ghost apparently resides. Upon telling his guards that this had occurred and that whoever was guiding him had kind of burst into all these silver butterflies, his guards were like, yeah, we gotta peace out. You know, you just dealt with someone who's very dangerous, so we need to go. I know this issue isn't resolved, but who cares about it? We gotta go and we gotta get reinforcement. And Shilan is like, yeah, no, I think I'm gonna stay. He was like really nice and really gentle, so I'm not worried about it at all. I want to resolve this issue because people are dying. So I'm gonna go ahead and stay here. um and we love to see it. We love when a love interest is so dangerous that everyone is like, okay, yeah, if he shows up, it's game over. We're pretty much dead. Yet when he's with his love interest or the person he cares about, he's like gently holding his hand and he's like bursting into, you know, a swarm of beautiful butterflies, you know. So it's very cute. But there are a couple situations that have been occurring during the situation where it's obvious that this book is translated from a country that's not quite as forward thinking when it comes to certain things. One thing is because he decides to dress up as a bride to trick the ghost without endangering any other women. People like can't even look at him. They're like, oh my gosh, a man dressed as a woman. I have to leave the building. It's too weird. It's too terrible. It's something that he should be so embarrassed to be doing, even if he's doing it to save the lives of all these women and people. And I was like, seriously, this guy walks around in like robes, which are like the same as a dress. And it's, you know, it's just showing that they're not really comfortable with men presenting as more feminine or, you know, wearing what's assumed to be only women's clothing, things like that. So that was a bit of a bummer to read. The other thing is there a couple times have looked like upon a woman and been like, too ugly. And I was like, how would you keep your opinion to yourself? You're looking at this young woman and you're like, oh, she's so ugly. Oh, God, I don't even want to look at her. I was like, that's rude. Don't say that. You know, judging someone just based off their appearance, things like that, is a no. And they did that a second time because there's a young boy who lives on the hill where this ghost lives, who's severely scarred or most likely burned. And they were talking about like how horrifying it is and how scary he looks. And I was like, you're talking about like a child that probably went through something incredibly traumatic and has been living a really hard life, and calling him grotesque and hideous. And, you know, it's not okay to talk about people who are, you know, like have injuries, scars, or in any way, like disfigured, to just look at them and say that they're scary and hideous. It's just, so a couple, you know, comments that happen in this book probably wouldn't fly as much in like American publishing, but this is translated, I believe, from Mandarin, so keeping that in mind. But other than those comments, still really enjoying the humor and just having a good time with it. Alrighty, so I am back from spending too much money. So I'm gonna do a quick haul and then I want to tell you a little bit more about Healing the Water Monster because I got I think about 38% through that because I was listening to it while I was shopping. But I did get another candle. Now the lid doesn't like stay on it that well, but I got it mostly for the smell. So he's got a cute little ghost on him. But it is a golden nutmeg, and it's so good. It's like, it's almost like waffles with syrup. That's kind of like what it smells like, but it smells amazing. So I got that. Then I just got some of those little makeup squishies, but it's in a Halloween container. And then I got a couple of little, I think it's felt. I don't know. I'm assuming it's felt. Little white pumpkins that I'm hoping to put on my shelves. And then I got felt also, I'm assuming. It doesn't say. Made in India though. Little ghosts that say boo. So that is what I got, and I will see about adding them to that soon. But for the healing the water monster, I am having such a great time. When I was, first starting it with middle grade, I'm not a huge middle grade reader, so I was struggling a little bit with, the simplistic dialogue, things like that. But now that the story is really getting going, I'm having a great time. So our main character, whose name I do not know right now, has met the water monster while he was lost in the desert. And he has found that the water monster is sick, and in exchange for the water monster helping him get home safe, he has agreed to heal the water monster. And so he's gone through some different trials and events to try and figure out what's wrong with the water monster, and they have now diagnosed that the water monster is sick because of something that the humans have done, and he's gonna go on an even bigger trial now to see if he can find water monster's mother, so that she can make him feel better. So this book has been dealing with, of course, the impact of humans on the environment through the sickness of water monster, and it's also been dealing a lot with like PTSD and depression. Our main character has an uncle who, after returning from the war, was having a lot of behavioral issues and struggling with alcohol abuse, and he is present at the trailer now after losing his most recent job and being kicked out of his most recent apartment. Our main character found that there was some sort of creature that was attached to him that was whispering, these negative statements like you're not worth anything, you're a burden to people, wouldn't it be great if you didn't wake up tomorrow, things like that. So he had crushed the being, but it had attached itself to him, and so he had been dealing with those symptoms of severe depression, and is now trying to find a way not just to help water monster, but to make sure that that ash being which has been pulled from him doesn't run back to his uncle, so his uncle doesn't have to fight that anymore. So some serious mental health topics that are being addressed in this book, which is really great. We are also dealing a little bit more with body image because our character is plus sized, so that's great that that's being addressed as well. And then of course just the holy beings that we are meeting throughout the story, the Navajo mythology that's being addressed. It's just a lot of fun, so I am looking forward to watching our character move through this world and learn more about it, and hopefully, of course, help water monster heal and help his uncle heal. Also, it seems that his relationship with his father is very strained, and that he is missing his parents. So hopefully seeing him mend those relationships with his father, and of course be reunited with his mother, who is currently documenting the protests of the gas lines being through, or the gas lines that they want to put through the native land. So a lot going on in the story, and I'm having a great time, and we'll go ahead and update you when I have more to say or when I finish it.
All right, guys, I can't even with... They're being so mean about this girl who's like really nice and is just trying to keep her friends safe and is trying to be helpful, and they just keep calling her ugly. And I was like, they're like, you're so nice for an ugly girl. And I'm like, are you serious? And now she just like risked her life to save Shy Leon. And this is what they say. Her jumbled words certainly did sound a little odd, with a bent nose and slanted eyes and an appearance so ugly it was silly. Her bloodied, tear-streaked face was almost funny to behold. What? How dare you? Like, she's literally dying, and you're like, oh, girl, you're so ugly. You look so stupid while you're dying. Oh my gosh. The cruelty. The cruelty.
So I'm cleaning my room over my lunch break because it's as messy as a teenager's. So we got a before and an after. I relocated the books for now. I added the little garland with the cute little pumpkins and the ghost, and then I added my book and my potion bottle. I cleaned up my desk and all the clothes that was hanging in the corner. So yay, we love a clean sanctuary. Alright guys, it is Wednesday. It's Wednesday today. Yeah, today's Wednesday. I don't know what day of the week it is. And I just got back from the gym. So I was listening to Healing the Water Monster, and I am about 85% done. Only have a little less than an hour and a half left of that. We've been concentrating a lot or focusing a lot on our character's uncle, who is dealing with severe depression and PTSD, and he has been placed under observation due to being suicidal. So there are some discussions of suicide in here. One thing I really liked was that when they went to the hospital, they were with a white doctor, but he respected the fact that they wanted to do a traditional ceremony to help his uncle, and that he understood that when it came to indigenous people, that they required a combination of both traditional methods and more Western methods, so that a lot of people who were going through depression, PTSD, other illnesses, needed both their ceremonies, but they also needed, the therapies, the antidepressants, or, whatever else medication they required for whatever ailment they have. So that was really nice, because unfortunately in the real world, not all white Western doctors would be so receptive to someone being like, I need to make sure that I go through the ceremony to help me. So great that that was there. We are now following our character as he goes to the third world, which is where we and a lot of the holy beings, I believe they're called the holy beings, escaped from. We are now apparently in the fourth world, but he is going to the third world to find Pond, who is what he calls the water monster's mother, so that they can find a treatment for Pond. So we are going through 4 trials to reach her. So that's really enjoyable. Before he left, when he was still dealing with his uncle, he was dealing a lot with being surrounded by adults who are really angry. And he is a child who comes from a separated household. So he watched his parents go through a divorce. So we kind of see him just kind of drawing into himself and trying to make himself small while he is like around these angry adults. And he's kind of wishing that, instead of like holding it all in and, whispering among each other and just making him feel kind of like nervous and, like an outsider, that the adults would just talk through everything that is going on. Because a lot of times when it comes to, anger and divorce and like really bad mental health issues, we don't talk about that with children, but they know that something is wrong, and it makes them feel uncomfortable, if not like a little unsafe in their environment. So I'm glad that that issue was addressed a lot in this book through his uncle's struggles. So really enjoying this book, really enjoying the characters, both our main character and the holy beings that are helping him on his journey. And we've made it through 2 trials so far, and I am excited to see what other trials he has to face and to see him reunited with his family and with Pond, hopefully with like a cure in hand, so everyone walks away improved, maybe not fully cured. Like with his uncle, they admit that they're going to go through this ceremony and it'll help, but he still needs to go to therapy. So it's nice to see them, saying over and over again, therapy is important. So that's always great to see in a book. But I will, of course, update you probably when I finish the book, since I only have a little less than an hour and a half left. So yeah, I'll talk to you later. Good morning, guys. It is Friday the 16th, so we are officially over halfway done with the month, and I am not halfway through my TBR. No, I'm not. But I am going to finish this book today. I have about 50 pages left. There's a lot of like glossary and like names of characters and places and stuff, so I only have about 50 pages left of that, so I'm gonna definitely finish it today. And then I mentioned earlier that I only have a little less than an hour and a half of the water monster, or healing the water monster, so I am probably gonna go ahead and finish that while I'm at the gym today. So that'll be 2 books down. This one is for my TBR and Becca's Bookopoly, so that's good. And then I will be picking up 1984 by George Orwell, which is my punishment prompt for my TBR, but does not contribute to Becca's Bookopoly in any way, unfortunately. But yeah, I just wanted to pop on real quick, let you know that that's what's going to be happening today. My week 1 vlog dropped this morning, and I finished editing my week 2 vlog yesterday, and just uploaded that this morning. So you guys are probably going to see mostly like vlog content for the next couple weeks or so, because I'm trying to like get those all out because I'm a little bit behind on that. But it is what it is. All right, guys, so it is about 10 minutes before my lunch break, and I just finished Heaven's Official Blessing. I don't have too much to say about this book. I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. I mean, it's a decent read. It's like fun, it's easy, you know. I'm definitely going to continue with the series. It's one of those almost like a brain break book. So I had a good time. I enjoyed the characters. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing their relationship develop, to see what other adventures they go on. I did have some issues that I discussed, you know, earlier in the vlog with, you know, their reaction towards like cross-dressing, their reaction towards people's appearances, the way they, you know, handled that. I wasn't a huge fan of, but that was just in that one part of the story, and then the rest of the story didn't really seem to have any issues with that or anything like that. But yeah, not much more to say on this. It was a good time. Glad I finally got to it. I'm gonna hang up some laundry and probably listen to Healer of the Water Monster while doing that. Then I will probably during lunch jump right into 1985 because we have no time to waste. We are very behind. In fact, I'm thinking about maybe next weekend, not this weekend, but next weekend doing a 24-hour readathon. So I just sit down, or a 48-hour readathon, sorry, just sit down and try to power through as much reading as I can. But that is my update on that, and I will update you later when I finish my audiobook, and to give you some initial thoughts about 1984 as well.
I just want to know what it is with classics and their long paragraphs. I mean, from here all the way to here, it's just 2 paragraphs. That's almost 2 full pages. All right, so I'm on my last break of the day, so I figured I'd just give you a quick update on 1984 before I finish up the workday and then head to the gym. So I have only read 16 pages of this book, but we follow a 30-something-year-old man called Winston, who works at the Ministry of Truth, which is one of the 4 ministries in this London community. And he has recently purchased a blank diary and is hoping to keep it as a journal, which is technically an offense punishable by death. So he has a complicated relationship with Big Brother, because this is the story where the phrase Big Brother is always watching. What is it? War is peace. What are the other 2 phrases? Freedom is slavery, ignorance is strength. Those are kind of the slogans of the society, and he seems to believe in some of the things that are said by a man called Goldstein, not green, wrong color, Goldstein, who apparently at some point betrayed the government, and he is used as kind of like propaganda against the revolution. So every day people gather for what's called the 2-minute hate, where the government shows like speeches that Goldstein made, with, you know, the threat of an attack from Eurasia or East Asia in the background to kind of build up rage and fear against him. And so it kind of like these 2 minutes caused like a massive frenzy among the people, and it just kind of goes to show how the government is just training these people to be easily manipulated. So far, that's kind of what has happened. I haven't even finished chapter 1 yet, but I figured I'd do a quick update, since I probably won't be updating you until maybe later tonight. But But yeah, that's all I have to say. Glad that I'm rereading this. Hopefully I get as much out of it as I did during my first read, and I will see you later tonight.
All right. I keep trying to find a spot on the shelf where I can like set my phone up, where it's at like not too low but not too high. So right now you're standing on top of my Cruel Prince box set. You can see my pumpkin a little. But back from the gym. Was very tired. I didn't want to go, but you know, we gotta commit. So we did it. And we also finished the water healer, or the water healer, the healer of the water monster. And I almost started crying there at the gym. I was not expecting that ending. I was like, okay. But, you know, overall, it was a really great book with a lot of lessons. I already went through quite a few of them, so I'm not going to repeat them, but it had a really bittersweet ending. I think our character learned a lot, and we learned a lot, and children or, you know, young adults that read this book would read or learn a lot from it. So I think it was a really important story to tell. I'm really glad that the author wrote it, and it does seem like he has plans to write other books, which is really exciting. I'll definitely be checking those out. I think I'm gonna give this book a solid 4 stars, with middle grade. You know, sometimes I just don't connect as much to the story just because it's not 100% geared towards me, so it's really hard for me to give them like a 5-star. But this was a really solid story, with lots of great references to Navajo mythology. So I would highly recommend this if you're looking for more books about Indigenous people, by Indigenous people. Highly recommend, even if you are just looking for more middle grade books as well. Other than that, I don't have any more updates, didn't do any more reading of 1984, obviously. So I'm just gonna settle down for the night and hopefully do a little bit more reading. I don't know if I will or won't check in with you. I guess it kind of depends on if I have anything to say. So it's Friday night. I'm about to hit the hay, but I got to chapter 3, page 29 of 1984. Not too much more to say on it. We mostly just followed Winston through the 2-minute hate, which I discussed a little earlier, and as he wrote his first journal entry. We also found out that he believes that there is another man at his place of work that may share some similar beliefs as him, but he has not acted on that at this time. We also saw him interact with a mother and her 2 children across the way from his apartment, and that kind of brought up the topic that the children of this society are incredibly dangerous even to their parents because of the way that the society is raising them. They are incredibly almost savage in a way, but at the same time they're raised in such a way that they're completely faithful to the society that is set in place and will do anything, even, you know, have their own parents arrested if not killed, to make sure that the rules that society set in place are being upheld. So that is interesting. I mean, it kind of shows how important what we teach our children is, because they carry that through their entire lives. And of course, it has a huge effect on how society moves forward. So interested to learn more about that, to kind of see if he interacts with that other man, because I have to admit I don't remember like anything about this book, so I'm practically reading it for the first time. So not much more after only 28 pages, but hopefully I'll get a decent amount of this done this weekend, and I will update you tomorrow. So I'm on page 74. I'm gonna still try to get to page 104 before the end of the night. I took a nap earlier today instead of finishing my reading. But I think it's interesting that he's talking about, like, he doesn't know exactly what society should look like, what it looked like in the past. Was it better? Was it worse? He really has no idea what the society should be looking like, because even the way that the government portrays the society or the goals they set for the society is not at all what the society looks like. So really no one is acknowledging the reality that they live in. They're just keep marching towards a future that they want to see, and it's clear based off where they are that that's just not an achievable place to be. So they're kind of marching forward into pretty much what is ruin. I mean, there's these people who are not part of the party. So they're kind of like outsiders. So, you know, the party doesn't really focus on converting them to their belief. And they make up like 80% of the population of this society. But they're, you know, so miserable and uneducated and poor and starving that, you know, they can't really do anything about it, you know. So what the party wants is a military state of people that all look the same, all think the same, but in reality, what they have is practically a society that is on the verge of collapse every single moment of the day, with a large group of people that they don't focus as much energy on controlling, who could possibly, if they realize that they could have better, could rise up and utterly destroy the society within probably a day. So interesting. Still enjoying the story a lot. It's actually a relatively quick book if I actually sit down and read it instead of sleeping. So it is a little before noon on Sunday. I'm taking a rest day, I guess you could say, because I'm feeling a bit under the weather, which is why I'm still in my pajamas. But I am on page 126 of 1984. Our character Winston, I'm pretty sure, yeah, Winston, has started an affair with a young woman, which of course is not allowed. So their affair is kind of their way of spitting in the face of their current society, giving into that animal instinct that the society tries so hard to crush.
And she has been with many men before him, and he really likes that because he's like, oh, that means that, she's really against the system. She's really her own person who goes out and does what she wants to do, and then turns around and acts like she's fully faithful to the society, completely tricking them into thinking that she is on their side when clearly she is 100% opposed to them and actually really hates them. So this is going to be, his next form of rebellion. First he had the diary, and then he had purchased a small item from a, what are they called? An antique shop, even though one shouldn't own anything beautiful. So he's been doing small rebellions, and he's hasn't felt like it's been enough. He's felt like this helplessness, this rage building inside of him all these years, and through this woman he has sort of an escape from all of those feelings, a way to express them and just get it all out of his system. So we'll see where the relationship goes. I mean, I think I'm less than halfway through the book, because I think there's a total of 298 pages. So I'm a little less than halfway through the book. But I will go ahead and update you later today. Hopefully I'll get a good amount of reading done since I don't really have any other plans. But yeah, I'll check in with you later. Also, her ability to find so many men who are willing to sleep with her is just further proof that the government does not have as much control over what people are doing as they seem to think that they do. And she even points out that the inner party members, like the high ups, if they were asked, would probably sleep with her as well. So even the ones that are preaching these rules the most are also willing to break them. So in a way, this book is really showing that with a lot of rules, especially in this society, rules that aren't put in place to keep people safe, the people who put them in place don't truly believe in the rules' ability to make the world a better place. They only put the rules there to increase their control over those beneath them. So I got over the halfway point. I'm on page 156 now. I had to move inside because it was getting too hot out. We're supposed to get like another mini heat wave this week, I think it was, which is unacceptable because I want it to be fall already. But as far as the story goes, we're just learning a little bit more of his time together with his lover. I can't remember her name right now because I think it's only mentioned like once or something. But anyway, it's kind of interesting to see how both of them hate the party and want to fight against the party, but their ideas of how that should be done and to what extent is very different. So she's very, I guess you could almost say, selfish in her resistance, in that she only cares about how the party's policies affect her personally. On a broader level, as far as how they alter history, how they lie to the people, the actions that they take to increase their control, she doesn't care about that much. And Winston very much does care about everything that the society does to make life more difficult and restrained for people. So I'm interested to see kind of like what happens if they go their different ways, if he goes too far for her and she, not really caring, because she's kind of that opinion where like there's nothing you can really do about it. Like, it's wrong, but there's nothing you can do about it. She's kind of like how people nowadays are like, yeah, the environment
is being destroyed, and it's because of climate change, but at this point we're too far gone, so what are you going to do about it? Nothing. So that's kind of the way she thinks about it. But Winston is very much interested in why the party does things, and to know if there's a way to work against them. So maybe in the second half of the book we'll see him take some more drastic measures against the party. But honestly, as I've mentioned before, I really don't remember pretty much anything about this book, so I'm still moving forward rather blindly. Oh, her name is Julia. It says it right there. Anyway, that is my update for now.
So our character has gotten a hold of a book that belongs to the resistance, and he's reading about the cause of the war that they have been in for 25 years or something like that. And the thing about the war is that they are either allied with or against one of two other nations. And the government always claims that they've been at war with the same person, but it has changed throughout the years. They just always change the documents to show that they have always been at war with the person or the country that they're currently at war with. And the reason for the war, to put it simply, is to have the ability to continue to go to war, pretty much. So these three countries have gotten themselves into a situation where the cycle of war just continues. Whoever is holding the specific part of land that they're all fighting over, the other two will then team up and then work against them. And then when another one gains control, the other two will gain control, will team up and fight against the other one. So that's why they're constantly allying and fighting against someone else, because they're always fighting against whoever is holding this other land. And the way they're writing it is that this land has absolutely no value other than to help them move forward with war more quickly. Like anything that this land helps them achieve, they could achieve anyway. It just helps them achieve it like a little bit quicker, which pretty much means that the wars that they're fighting, the lives that are being lost, is absolutely worthless. We see how big of a role the war plays in the government's ability to control its people. The war is the reason that they have to have rations. The war is the reason that the city is being bombed, that things are not as good as they could be. It is because of the war. The war is the reason that people are, attracted to patriotism so much.
I guess what I'm trying to say, and I don't know if it came across at all, is that I understand that countries in this day and age, including America, have and do use war as a reason for why they can't make things better at home. So, say we're at war against terrorists, they'll say we need to put funds towards the military so that we can protect you against these terrorists. So we're going to have to not give you a raise, and we're going to have to increase the price of gas. Things like that. And throughout the years, they've used it as an excuse to make these changes, which is why a lot of countries feel it necessary to spend a lot of time at war. So that's what I'm trying to say, even though it probably didn't come across that way. So I'm slowly making my way through a section where we're pretty much just reading from, I think his name is Goldstein, from his, I don't know if it would be called a manifesto or exactly what this would be. And it's just so long. And it's honestly like reading a textbook, and the paragraphs are so long. And my brain is starting to get a little exhausted, so it's a little bit slower going than usual. Well, that fried my brain. But now, to make some fried rice. guys, so it is a little after 9 on Monday, so technically this vlog should be over, but I only have about 20 pages of 1984 left, so I figured I would just go ahead and finish this vlog when I finish this book. But for now, I had to take some time off because Mr. Bowtie down here, in case you're wondering why I'm sitting on the bathroom floor, has not been doing really well lately, so he's not feeling good, so I'm taking him to the vet. But I just wanted to check in real quick and just let you know that this vlog is being extended just a little bit. I will start the other vlog today as well because I'll start my other book today as well. But yeah, just want to give you an update on that. Mommy's very sorry, but you have to go to the vet because you're not eating and you're throwing up a lot. I promise this is for your own good, okay? You can't even look at me. He's like, oh, so sad. I love you. All right, guys, I just got on my lunch break. So I thought I'd pop on here and just let you know that I finished 1984 by George Orwell. I'm giving it a 4 stars. I enjoyed my reading experience on this. I don't have too much more to say on it just because, you know, this final portion can't talk too much about it without getting too much into spoilers or anything. I did not remember the ending, which in a way is kind of nice because then you kind of get to experience it for the first time and get to be shocked once again. But yeah, I mean, I feel like this is kind of like a book that is still relevant nowadays, so I think it's definitely important that, you know, people read it, and hopefully they are still teaching it in the schools like they did when I was in school. And I'll probably reread it again sometime in my life, if not a few times, because I feel like it's one of those books that you can probably get something new out of it every time you read it and just get a better understanding of it, because I know that I was struggling to grasp a few of the concepts. You know, the overarching concept I did understand. I know I had some trouble putting that into words throughout this vlog, so hopefully while I'm editing I'm able to paste together something that makes sense to some sort of degree. But yeah, just figured I'd jump on and this vlog. You will probably see me out here wearing the same thing at the beginning of my next vlog since I'll be starting my next book as soon as I finish eating lunch. But yeah, guys, thank you so much for sticking with me through my possibly nonsensical jibber jabber about this book, and I appreciate your support of my channel by watching my videos, and I really hope to see you guys in my next video. Bye.